So Resident Evil 9 has dropped and it's gone through amazing reviews. And for good reason. This game is really, really good. Resident Evil 9 or Resident Evil Requiem is a fantastic entry into the Resident Evil franchise. And for those of you who are just a little curious as to what's going on, maybe you're interested in the hubbub, you're interested into the story, but you really don't know where to start the franchise. Well, let me help you out with that. In this video, I'm going to be showcasing a few games that you probably should get into. Not only are they good entry points, but also they're just fantastic games within the franchise of Resident Evil. Not only that, the story actually helps bridge into Resident Evil Requiem. Now, obviously, really quickly, I'm going to just be... If I don't even recommend certain games, it doesn't mean that they're trash. To be fair, there is some that are just really bad mainline games, okay? So unless you really, really want to just try out those games because maybe you're invested really heavily in the story, go ahead, try them out. They're not bad games, but it takes a little work to actually get into those games. Now, without further ado, let's get into it, shall we?
Resident Evil.
So the first game on the list is, well, start from the very beginning, right? Resident Evil 1, specifically the HD remake version. Now, obviously, this game came out first in 2002, and it came out on the GameCube. And the thing is that the GameCube really wasn't selling well, and, well, this game just didn't do well back then, okay? But this game is by far the best, the quintessential classic Resident Evil experience. You won't get a better tank-controlled game in the series at all. This is the best Resident Evil classic game out there. And honestly, it looks the best, it plays the best, and it also has alternate controls, which allows you to move your character wherever your stick desires to go. So this honestly breaks the game sometimes. Your character was not meant to do a lot of the stuff they can do in this. So this game stars Chris Redfield and Jill Valentine, two main protagonists who do cross over a lot in these other games that I'm about to drop. So obviously they're a staple to the series, and it's very important that you understand who they are, where they come from, and most importantly, this game lays the foundation to everything Resident Evil. So what is the next game here? Obviously, if you can't get over the tank controls, I get it. The next game hopefully helps you out getting over tank controls.
Resident Evil 2.
Resident Evil 2 is my entry point. This is my favorite game, and this also stars Leon S. Kennedy, the poster child of Resident Evil, and also probably the guy that most women really want to figure out where he came from. So if you're one of those women, hey. Anyways, so this is where he comes from. Claire Redfield stars alongside Leon Kennedy, Chris's younger sister. So obviously this game is really, really good in my eyes. I think that maybe you should try it out. It doesn't matter which version you try, either the original version or the remake version. I think that both offer different experiences, but I lean slightly more towards the remake because it's a little bit more modern, but also it allows you to just enjoy things because now you have the freedom to look around. You don't have to be restricted to the static camera that all classic Resident Evil games offer you.
Resident Evil.
The next game after Resident Evil 2 probably is going to be a no surprise. We're going chronologically, Resident Evil 3. Now, you might be wondering, why am I going 1, 2, 3 here? And that's because we're going from the most important story points here. And the most important story points are, number 1, because of Chris and Jill. Gotta know who those characters are. Then we're going to go into Raccoon City. And Resident Evil 3, it encapsulates everything Raccoon City. It finishes off the story of Raccoon City. This is why we're doing it, so that you actually can see what happened at the very beginning and then at the very end. Now, obviously, they don't really show anything at the beginning, but it's also a very good finishing of the story of Raccoon City and its untimely demise. Now, Resident Evil 3 is something that, honestly, in good faith, I cannot recommend remake too much. And the reason why remake is because it's just an inferior product when you compare Resident Evil 3 original to the remake. I mean, one is just better. It's just objectively better that the original just offers more content and it plays very well still to this day. I mean, I've played it quite a few times already and beat it quite a few times already. I would say if you just simply cannot handle tank controls and the static camera is just aggravating to you, then yes, probably you should try out the remake version. And the reason why is because it's going to offer the same story, just retold in a different way. And to be fair, it's still fun, but you're not going to get as much content out of it as you would the original. So that's my little interpretation of this. Or I should say, what is it? My guidance, I guess you could say. Whatever.
Where's everyone going? Bingo?
Resident Evil 4, and this is the kicker. It doesn't matter if you play the original or the remake. They're both godly. Okay, they're both good. These are the best games in the series, I would say. Now, obviously, I'm biased towards Resident Evil 2, but Resident Evil 4 is a very, very, very close second to me. Okay, this game is by far the best video game that's been made, honestly. It changed the landscape for everything action, okay? Action, horror, it doesn't matter. Everything changed with Resident Evil 4. So I would definitely say every gamer should just try it out. Literally, just try it out. Now, Resident Evil 4 is obviously a growth to Leon's character, really, to see how he has grown. So it's a good way to kind of see Leon, how he's handled everything from the past to now, how is he handling this new outbreak or this new threat, whatever it is he's dealing with. Okay. So obviously there are some reoccurring characters in Resident Evil 4 too, which if you play Resident Evil 2, you would know who.
Dude, it's been 3 years.
I know, but what if it is her? I have to find out what happened.
From Resident Evil 4, we're gonna skip all the way to 7. Now, 7 introduces Ethan Winters as the starting protagonist. Now, Ethan is not really my favorite protagonist. In fact, I don't really like the whole Ethan Winters saga storyline because it undermines what Resident Evil was about, honestly, in my eyes. But that's for a different topic, honestly. All you gotta know is that this game, Resident Evil 7, is a very, very scary game. Now, for some players, that's a turnoff, okay? Some players just do not want to get scared. I get it. I understand that. So if that is way too scary, try out Resident Evil 8. Resident Evil 8 does have impact on the story of Resident Evil. Not only is Chris Redfield back in action here, Village does offer a lot of backstory to Oswald E. Spencer, Umbrella, and everything else. So it's a good game to kind of get your feet wet in a little bit, as the saying goes, I guess. So that's a good game to kind of try out. Obviously, Resident Evil 8 isn't scary as Resident Evil 7. So, you know, if you have problems with Resident Evil 7, you could just jump to Resident Evil 8. Now, here's the last recommendation.
Welcome to Africa.
So Resident Evil 5 is a very awkward game to kind of recommend just a little bit. The reason why is because it's a co-op only game and you need someone to play with you to actually maximize the enjoyment of this game. I definitely would say that the best time that I've ever played this game is with another person playing as Sheva. So this game is really enjoyable. However, there's that caveat of needing another person. Now, the reason why I would recommend this game to another person or to a new player is because this game is not only memeable, which for a lot of the Resident Evil community, this game is heavily memeified. There's a lot of memes from just this one game.
That's weird.
Did you put a fucking mod in this?
No.
But also the backstory of the main antagonists are fleshed out just a little bit more, and we get to see one of the very few instances of Oswald E. Spencer in the game. So this is probably the only one that you actually get to see him. So, you know, there's obviously some from the mainline games I didn't really recommend. Obviously Resident Evil 0, Code Veronica, and 6. Oh yeah, I forgot about that game. Resident Evil 6 is just terrible. I would definitely say if you really want to know about the story, just look it up on YouTube. You're probably going to have a lot more enjoyment actually watching it rather than playing it. This game is just not that good. So there's that. Resident Evil 0, the item management in Resident Evil 0 is just atrocious. And it can be a little bit repetitive with the way Resident Evil 0 works. Now, there is appeal to it. There is some enjoyment that can be had to Resident Evil 0, but it's just minimal compared to something like Resident Evil 1, Resident Evil 2, 3. The other one, obviously, Code Veronica. Now, you can play this game. It actually takes place between 3 and 4, but this game is a little boring. So, other than the other games, backtracking is part of Resident Evil. But for some reason in Code Veronica, they just decided to ump it up to the max for some weird reason. So the enjoyment you can get out of this game is rather low when it comes to repetition and replayability. It's not that really fun. I played it a couple times, beat it a couple times, and then there's so many times where I just went, ugh, and I really don't want to go back to a lot of the games. So that's about it. If you enjoy the video, consider leaving a like, maybe a sub, who knows, maybe. And you know what? Here's a question. What game would you recommend to a new player? In fact, here's another question. If you're a new player, what was your first game? What would you consider playing if it was your first game? Anyways, that's it for this video. I'll see you all in the next one. Later.
Welcome to the family, son.